Hello, guys. Welcome back to another webinar with Ella Rifkin. I know you're unfamiliar with my voice. My name is actually Rafael Mabi. I will be the second host and slash trainer where we'll give you information today because the reason why Ella and we decided to do this webinar is simply because of the bottom line. And today's bottom line is all about businesses growing, businesses keeping more of their own money. But at the same time, because of the situation and the timing that we're in today, uh, I don't know of a single business today in June of 2020 that is not interested in getting more clients, developing their reputation and brand and have a presence. At the same token, to return back to financial aspect of it, you may or may not know, but Ella has been doing this for 20 plus years professionally, not just as an individual, but professionally, meaning where she was able and still is able to help a lot of business owners like yourself to keep more of their money, not just by doing the work for them. Yes, she gets paid for it, obviously, but also by educating the clients that she's working with, where the client is actually empowered by fully understanding what is being done to help them. So without any further ado, I'm going to let Ella take care of the first part of this webinar, where she's going to talk to you about navigating the financial sector of your business and perhaps even your personal life, if applicable. Ella, it's all yours.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Rafael, for such a wonderful introduction. Well, I hope everybody is doing safe and healthy with everything that's going on right now. And yes, it's truly like what Rafael just said. We're facing a very challenging times right now. And I think it's more than ever, we need to actually face into what can we do differently today? What can we do for our future? What can we change? And I have put this presentation together. Last week, I was very lucky and fortunate that I went through the special 3-day full immersion webinar in terms of the financial, how to overcome this financial crisis, how to take advantage of this financial situation right now. It's whether you are a business owner, planning to be a business owner, or if you're just an individual. So it's all about how you can save the money, how you can get through this situation right now and come out of it strong. So without further ado, I'm gonna share, for the screening share, 1 second, I'm gonna share, some sharing difficulties, 1 second. It says here that the host disabled participant screen sharing. Okay, let me see 1 second. I need to share my screen. Okay, I think we're good, right? Yes. All right. So basically today is it's all about money. How can we save money? How can we have more money? What can we do to have more so we can actually get through this situation and then continue doing whatever it is at whatever point of business or personal life you're at this moment. So basically, how can you save where it's thousands or 10,000s or $100,000s of dollars in taxes during COVID-19, even if you already have a CPA? So if you already have your account and if you have already a CPA, it's not a problem because you can still save money. You can still save a lot of money. One of the biggest problems in our country is that most of the small business owners and individuals individuals believe that they cannot, since they have already CPA, since they already have an account and they have a tax preparer, then they're already saving money because they're already filing their tax returns, filing their taxes, and there is nothing else that can be done. But in reality, this is not the truth. In reality, there is much more that can be done. And in reality, your tax preparers, your CPA, or even if you're doing the tax returns by yourself, they just preparing your tax returns for you. So if you look at the tax preparation equals to the cost, because majority of the people, whenever they're facing the issue of doing the tax return, they trying to save the money on the cost because that's what they're usually focusing on. So if you focusing on the tax return cost and doing it yourself or using the tax preparer who is charging very little, so basically it's the cost equals to the tax preparation. But when it's the tax planning, when you actually do the tax planning, then it equals to the investment with the ROI, with the return on the investment. So let me ask you this question. Have you ever had the tax planning done in the past? If you did the tax returns yourself, do you do the tax planning yourself? If you're using your tax preparers, if you're using a CPA, whoever does your tax return, your family members. So have you actually ever sit down with them, discussed with them, and did the tax plan? And if you did, then you're one of the luckiest ones, then congratulations, then you're ahead of everyone. But then if you hadn't done that, then how many years have you been working like that? How many years have you been using your tax preparers to prepare the tax returns? And again, if you look at it as if you've been at this tax level, then if you multiply whatever you paid in taxes and whatever then you could have received, so that's it up to all these years. So then let me just go a little bit and what is the tax planning? So, and why am I even talking about it? And you're probably wondering like, why are we even talking about this right now during everything that is going right now? And I think right now is the most important time, even though no one thinks about it, no one thinks about doing the taxes. And I'm pretty sure this is the last thing on your mind. But in reality, if you haven't done that, your tax return yet for 2019, then I think that you're lucky. And if you have done, then no worries, because usually how everyone does the tax return. Usually you do the tax return when the year is already ended. You come in January, in February, if you are smart enough, but those who usually come at the end of the tax season, before a few days the tax returns, so that's kind of already too late. This is very late because think about it, what can you do once the year is already ended? And in fact, I'll share the story with you. 2 weeks ago, I was doing tax return for one of my clients, and she had a large balance due to pay. She had to pay over $9,000. And then she goes to me, oh, but I want to put away 401k. I have the 401k option. They offered to me at work, but I never took an option of that. So maybe it makes sense for me to do this now. Yes, it does make sense for you to do this now, but this is already too late. We right now already in May, June, or even if it would be January, it's still already too late, because if you want to put away money towards the 401k, then that should have been done last year in 2019. So it's the usual misconception that, I'll just do my tax return at the end of the year, my accountant will take care of it. But then look at it another way. Even though, forget about the 401k, you're not interested in the pension, and especially those who waiting till the last day to do the tax returns, because I get it, it's literally like going to the dentist. But look at it this way. If you're waiting till the last minute and there's like a day or two left and your accountant is already so exhausted and there's like a line of people, he has appointments booked up one after another, what can they do for you at that moment? So this is one of the major things, because that's already too late. You already, talking about post-fact, it's already too late. So then the tax planning is actually done when the year started, throughout the year, towards the end of the year. I mean, the best way to do this, at least on a quarterly basis, because the situation changed. And look at what's going on right now with COVID-19. I mean, we started the year, everything was perfect. And literally just over the night, we declared, the disaster was declared by the president, and then over the night the economy was shut down, all the businesses was closed, that's it. So the things like that, things happen, and they're always happening. So that's where the tax planning comes into the picture. This is where you sit down and you look what's going on, and whatever state you are in. You might be growing, you might be doing very well, or maybe you're facing the challenges right now, your business is closed and you have no money, and whatever it is. So that needs to be done throughout the year, but definitely not when you have to do the tax return. So when we do the tax planning, we cover deductions, we cover legal entity structures, retirement, insurance, loopholes, tax cuts, niche specific strategies. Just for you to think about it, there's over 23 million businesses in the US that aren't properly structured. In fact, they gave us the number last year when I was going through this 3-day intensive training. I believe like it was like 70 to 80% of the businesses in US not even incorporated. They're trying to save money. They just doing the sole proprietorship, DBA, like a business, or maybe single member LLC. Why? Because they're all trying to save money on the cost preparation, not paying the accountants or CPA, not to do the tax planning. But in reality, they're hurting themselves. And now, by the way, with everything that is going on, and I have many business owners calling and asking that been faced, small business owners, the individuals that been faced with these challenges because they cannot work, and they have issues with the insurances, with the loans, with the unemployment, all of this. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. For those of you who are my clients, you already know me. For those who are just new and just getting to know me, why I actually came up with this COVID-19 tax planning. The reason I came, I was always about the planning, strategic planning, but this time it was the peak of the tax season. It was March 16. We have, we're working on the corporate tax returns on LLC. Everything is due. We have all this return, calling the clients that the deadline. And March 13 was the national emergency was declared in the US concerning the COVID-19 outbreak. I mean, no one took it seriously, I believe, until like March 16 or 17, and this is exactly what happened. So I remember this very vividly. When I started like listening to the news, and then I started like reading what's going on more in depth, I got a little scared. I got scared for my business owners. I got scared for my clients, and I was like, oh my God. So like, we're sitting in the office and we're having a meeting. So what's going to happen now? I mean, of course, the last thing that they're thinking about it is doing the tax preparation, paying the taxes, and then like how they're going to take care of the businesses, like what they're going to be doing, because I already anticipated what's going to happen, looking at what happened in China, the shutdown. So I already knew that they're going to shut us down. It was just a matter of the fact. And if the businesses will be shut down, it's not going to take like a week or two. What they said in the beginning, they'll just shut down us for a couple of weeks. I already knew that it's going to take some time. So I in the beginning, I really did get scared. But then I started thinking, what can we do to help our clients? What can we do differently? What can we help them to get through this situation? And then that night I went home and I started thinking, and I picked up all of my resources, my books. And next morning, I remember this very vividly. Before I even got to the office, I sat in my car, and it was on March 16. I started calling all of my clients. So I started calling everyone, and I started telling them, listen, this is the first opportunity was available, was this disaster loans. And I started like, explaining to them like how I anticipate the things that's going to happen and what's going to happen. And for those who were lucky enough, they listened to me right away. Some of them started calling next week. To make the long story short, I was very fortunate. I helped all of my clients. They received close to $6 million in various government funds. And now that they received all of this, I started thinking, what else I can do for them? What else we can do right now to help them to get through this situation? So that's why I came up with this plan. And I was very fortunate because over the past 5 years, I was very fortunate. I spent thousands of dollars in coaches, programs, and events, learning from city tech experts. And this picture was actually taken with Tony Robbins. I'm a platinum member of his group. And in February, before the COVID started, before we became the national disaster area, he got all of his platinum members, and there was many speakers. There were billionaires. There was Ray Dalio speaking to us, and they were actually teaching us how to get through this financial crisis, because they already were anticipating. They just didn't know how it will happen and when. There was some theory saying that it's going to be because of COVID-19. Some was saying it's because of the re-election. So everyone was like proposing their point of view. No one knew certainly when and what will happen, but they knew it's going to happen. So I was very fortunate. I was very lucky actually that I was part of this meeting, and I took all of this knowledge to help and save help my clients to get all these funds and then save the money to prepare them for these unforeseen circumstances. So the first thing I actually wanted to share this, I learned with one of my clients, Michael. In fact, Raphael, I told you about him when I was doing his tax return this year. When first time when he came to me, he was 31 years old. So his business was making over $450,000. And he came to me and I told him about the tax planning and like how much I can see. Like I saw right away how much I can save. Like there was so much I could have done for him. I was like so excited. And then I share all of this with him and with his spouse. And then we get to the point of course, how much it is. So he didn't like the price of it. He said it's too expensive. He never paid that much. And he said, you know what? No, I'm just gonna pass on that. Then he actually called me again, and that was last year. So he called me again, and then he asked me if I changed my mind, if I can give him some kind of discount. And I said, no, I'm sorry. And the funny thing is that his wife calls me, and she tells me, you know what? I know that you can do this, and I believe you can do this. My husband, he is, he doesn't believe. He's very skeptical. And the thing is that most that he's afraid of is like, that he has to pay so much for all this tax planning. He's like, and she goes to me, you know what, just don't tell him anything. I'm going to pay you whatever it is. Just do it and don't tell him anything. And she was a very smart lady. So I exactly did that. So we saved him $70,000 in taxes in just that 1 year. And an interesting thing is that, and I shared with Raphael this year when I was doing the tax return, using the old strategies plus everything that was going on right now with the COVID-19. So I was actually been even saved this year. We saved him like almost 100,000 in taxes. So, but talking about him and when he first came to me, so what we saved him, he decided he's going to invest this 5,000 out of whatever we saved, the $5,833, he will invest every month. So think about this, without increasing his income, without reducing any expenses, without growing his business, without reducing his lifestyle. So he didn't change anything. There's nothing changed in his lifestyle. He didn't have to work more. He didn't get more clients, spend less, nothing. What he did was just, he did the tax planning with me, and then I helped him to save all this money. So now he takes this $5,000, $833, he invests them into making 6% annually. And then at the age of 65, this is what we calculated with the time value of money, with the interest that he will be earning, he will have on his account $7,729,993. So just think about this number, $7,729,993. So this is without doing any extra work. This is just about anticipating, thinking, being proactive, and just letting me help him to do the tax planning. That's all it needs to be done. So this is just one of the cases that I wanted to share with you. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, I'm not making over $450,000. I don't have a business, and I'm very small, and I'm not making a lot. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're making hundreds or millions of thousands, or if you only want to start the business, or if you're just working somewhere and thinking, or you just started. So it doesn't matter. And here's the story that reminds me of Dmitry. So when he came to me, he just had a job. He's in construction. He works in New York City doing a maintenance. And then he was planning to open up a business, and he didn't know. He was still thinking about it. So he was making $42,000 on the side doing a construction business. So in the beginning, he thought like he's not going to do anything, just like all the other business owners. Let me just do the side jobs. But then he was very lucky and fortunate. He came to me, and then we sat down, we planned, and we structured his business. I took into consideration the asset protection, because again, he is in construction. He has a young family, he has a child, his wife, he has a house. So especially if you're in construction business, this is the last thing that you want is, God forbid, if something happens, then to go and be affected into your house, into your family. And by the way, many business owners who do not incorporate, this is the risk that they're taking, especially if you're in construction. So I helped him to structure all of this. We created the plan. And then this year, when he didn't even quit his job, he still had his job, and he was trying to grow his business on the side. So when we completed his plan, was a great lesson for him and a great lesson for me to learn that everything again needs to be done beforehand, before you start working, before you start making income, before you start earning money. So this year, when he came to do his income tax with me, with the way we structured his business, the expenses that he incurred, so we were able to deduct them and offset them against his income that he earned with the New York City, and we saved him $15,000 in taxes. So if he wouldn't come to me, if we wouldn't restructure, open the corporation and take advantage of all of this, he wouldn't be able to receive this $15,000 to be saved in taxes. So then imagine how you will feel having all this money without doing anything, without working hard or doing anything. So now you might be wondering, okay, this is great, but I have a great accountant, or you're doing the taxes yourself, or maybe it's your friend, your relative, and in fact, I have many clients like that. And you've been working with them for so many years, and I'm sure that they're absolutely great people. In fact, this is absolutely fine with me, even if you have your accountant. You don't have to change them. This is absolutely fine. But here's another story that I wanted to share with you. So this lady, she came to me, Larissa. So she had a great accountant, and he was her family member. So she's been using him because she wanted to save on the fee, not to pay, of course, anything for the tax preparation. So he was doing this for free for her. And everything is great. He's doing the tax return for her, but he's not doing the tax planning for her. So since he wasn't doing the tax planning for her, it resulted in overpayment in $20,000 on average for every 2 years. So that's over $42,000 in cash that shouldn't have been lost throughout all of these years. So needless to say, when she came to me, she forgot about her accountant and her relative, and she didn't want him to do this anymore for him. So based on all the facts that I just shared with you and all the stories, you have great accountants, you're trying to save money, you're trying to do everything yourself. And I haven't even looked at your tax return, but I am pretty sure if you're one of those who said that you never done the tax planning, then I'm pretty sure that you're losing thousands and thousands of dollars. So basically, if you look at it, if you use like how much you have lost, so if you take into the consideration how much you pay to your accountant, if you use your accountant plus how much you paid into the taxes, so this is what you would actually pay to the IRS, and you split that cost with your accountant and with the IRS. So, and I'm not trying to say, I don't like to say that your accountants are wrong and they're not doing something right. In fact, I'm not saying that because I used to be like that. I used to be all just about just tax preparation. And in reality, look at it this way, like I mentioned in the beginning, we have thousands of clients. And I was just like that, like 5 years ago. I mean, remember like all of these people, like, you know, I had like so many appointments booked throughout the day. So like you have all of these appointments. You don't have much time to do the tax preparation, plus listen to them, plus like going through all the questions and everything. And, you know, you'll be lucky if they'll spend like 30 minutes with you. Most of the time it's like 15, 20 minutes because like they're rushing, there's another person coming in and then like you're sitting, you're talking to them and then someone emails you and then someone calls you and then someone asks you the question. So like the amount of the distractions goes through there, this is crazy. And then again, like we as an accountants, we're so pressured by the IRS, by all these compliance offices with the deadlines. that we just working these endless hours and there is no time for ourselves to even breathe. So imagine how can they actually work and do anything for you, and and they're actually trying to do the right tax return, and they're focusing so much on doing the right tax preparation that they don't have time to ask you anything else about like suggesting or planning or doing. So like the planning, suggestion, all of this, they takes a lot of the time. It takes art, creativity, and it takes time, and they don't have any of the time, especially if you're coming during the tax season. So that's why I'm not saying like they're not incompetent and they're not negligent. In fact, listen, they're all amazing and great, and I know a lot of them that are absolutely amazing, and but they just don't have time to do the tax planning, and they just not into the tax planning because like they have to do all these tax returns and meet the deadlines. So if this sounds something like what you would like to do, if you would like to do the tax plan, if you would like us to take a look at your tax returns and see what we can do for you, then the process will look like that you can call us, you can set up one-on-one time for us to walk through your specific situation and map out the plan. And here's the thing, when you're gonna call us, I'll go with you on the diagnostic call. If I'll see based on the questions that I'm gonna ask you that will be able to help you something, then we're gonna set up a strategy session. If I'm not gonna be able to help you, or I'll see that your accountant is doing a great job already, then I'm not gonna waste my time, I'm not gonna waste your time, and most importantly, I'm not gonna waste your money. So, but if you do qualify, if I'll see we'll be able to save you money, then we'll request within the 48 hours, we'll request the information from you. Then on day 5-7, we'll do the kickoff call. And then on the week 3-5, we'll design, it's gonna be custom design plan just specifically for you. There is no one size fits all. I'm gonna go over everything in details, in depth with you, all your personal situation, business situation, what are your goals, what are your plans, what do you want to do, how we're going to get from point A to point B, and then we're going to map everything out, and then I'm going to deliver this plan to you. So, and if you need, we can do the follow-up call. So, and you have three options. We can do just the tax planning with you, we can do the planning and core implementation, and we can do the tax preparation. So, and remember in the beginning, I told you, even if you have your tax preparers and you love them and you still want to stick with them, then it's absolutely fine, because what we can do is that we can just design the plan for you, and then you can take that plan and then you can just go and take it to your accountant. And actually, I'm like talking so fast because Rafael only gave me 30 minutes, so I'm trying to fit everything. I have a lot to say.
It's okay. This is all good stuff. I'm actually learning a lot here.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted to share with you this plan. I'm not gonna go because it's a lot. Rafael is gonna kill me if I will. But here's the plan. This is what we actually came up with my team. It's over 100. It's over 100 pages. It's 113 pages. So this is the plan, and this is what you will be getting. There was so much training and so much time was input into this. There's a great stuff. There's so much great stuff. There's advanced strategies, the capital gains, gift, estate planning, tax cuts, care acts. So there is a lot. So this is what it will look like. We'll go into, again, like I said, it's all specifically designed based on your needs and situation, based on where you are currently at this moment, where you would like to go in towards to, what are your goals, what are your values, where you see yourself personally, business-wise. So some of them might not be good for you, some of them might not be good today, but will be good in the future. So there is a lot. So this is what you will be getting. And going back to, so this is basically what you will be getting. There's deductions, reviews. So like there's some of the deductions we cover: home office, travel expenses, meals, hiring children, maximizing depreciation, healthcare, home administrative office. And also, by the way, there was so many new things that I learned last week because of the disaster that we're all experiencing right now. There's so many deductions can be taken. And the interesting thing, there's listen to this, Rafael, you're gonna like this too. So there is a personal deductions that you can actually legally deduct because of the disaster happening right now. So, and this all will be covered in the tax planning. So in order to actually like to go specifically more into details, I will need to like, ask the specific questions, but there's certain things can be deducted. Like you can even like you have small kids, if you like need to pay a nanny or babysitter, so you can legally deduct this today because of the disaster situation, because you're working from home and you need the nanny to take a look at your children after your children, so you can actually pay her without her taking this as her income, and this can be fully deductible. So these like mind-blowing stuff that we learned last week on all this. It was a 3-day webinar that all talking about like the deductions, the tax planning, and all of this. So there's also will be profit sharing, retirement plan, the defined benefit plans, insurance review. We do life insurances, disability, so this all will be covered in it as well. Also, there's the Trump tax cut that came into effect in 2019, the 198 deduction, the opportunity zones credit, and then the CARE Act. The CARE Act that was passed in March by the president. So it gives, listen to this one. So there's the retirement withdrawal. So you can withdraw penalty free up to 100,000 from your 401k or your IRA account. Or you can borrow up to 100,000. So this stuff are amazing. For those who didn't apply for the PPP loans or for the disaster loans, they can actually take advantage of the employee retention credit. And the credit can be up to $10,000 per employee. So look at it this way. If you have like, I have companies who have like 40 employees. So we're talking about 10,000 times 40 employees. So this is huge. This is like 400,000. So there's a lot that can be done. If the business had losses, then we can go and amend the tax return. Then also there's a qualified depreciation that came into effect because of the disaster, because of the CARE Act this year. So these are all of the things that we will be covering in the tax planning. The quarterly estimate tax payments. So these are all of the things, and these are all of some of the structures that we create. So again, like I mentioned before, there is no one size fits all. So basically, whenever we sit down and whenever we're going to start developing the tax plan, these are some of the structures that we can develop. The sample, the comprehensive family office structure, or the series of LLC alternative, the S corporations, the C corporation, asset protection. So it all depends what business are you in, and what are you trying, what are you planning to do in the future. So like there's different various structures that we can create for you to save the money. So these are just some of the samples of the structures. So, and like I mentioned to you, in the last 3 months, from the moment that COVID-19 started, I was very lucky, fortunate that I actively jumped into this and started helping my clients. So we almost got already $6 million in various funds from the PPP, disasters loans, the city loans, and this number is growing. In fact, today I got another approval for one of my clients. He received $150,000 from disaster loan. Yesterday, my client, he has several of businesses, so he received over $346,000. And by the way, this client, and I'll have to share you this with you, because I'm actually very happy and proud of myself for what I did for my clients. I'm very lucky because with everything that we did, none of my business owners are closed the doors. And that client in particular, that yesterday that he received $346,000. So he has a mobile stores, and his business, of course, was closed. And there's like he has a family of 9 kids, and he is the only breadwinner in the household. And like imagine like going through this, for all the stores being closed, he has to pay all the bills. and he has like 5 different stores. So that's a lot. It's not even one store, it's 5 different stores. So I was like, in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, like how he's gonna get through this. So then, we jumped into the opportunity. He got the PPP, and then yesterday he received the disaster loan. So now imagine from having 0 on his bank account to having $346,000, like what can you do right now? So like, you can scale your business, you can pivot your business. So like there's so many options available to him right now. So now it's about the tax planning. Now it's about cash flow, projection, forecasting. And that's the next step that I will be doing with him, actually, to sit down and think, okay, so what should we do right now, like with this money? Like how can, and we already, in fact, I was speaking to him yesterday. He's like, okay, I already have some of the ideas that we need to go through and think about it. So it's all about planning. It's always about planning. It's always about taking the, what you have right now, taking the situation, what's going right now, and then planning. And again, it's not just planning, once. You have to constantly plan and replan because things change, the circumstances change. And so I'm like trying to go through all of the slides as fast as I can. So let's just think, if all I did for you is just save you 3 or 5 times more in taxes in the current year than what you invested, or save you what you invested this year, but you keep that saving every year, or help you protect your assets for you and your family, like I did for Dmitry when he started his construction business, or set aside for taxes quarterly so you never get a surprise tax bill, or help you properly document tax positions so you're not worried. So, or set aside a saving and start to invest for the retirement. And like I told you about my client who was thinking of doing that, but that was already kind of too late. So if all I did for you to save you all of this money, then you can reach me at 347-462-2778. The phone number is on the screen. We can set up one-on-one time for us to walk through everything and then design the specific plan for you and map everything out from point A to point B. And I will help you if you would like to implement this plan into the reality. So I guess this will conclude my presentation. And without further ado, Rafael, I'm gonna transfer it to you. Should I?
Awesome.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I think I could share my screen here.
My screen. So
Okay.
should I stop sharing my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Wow, that was a lot of information, but really good information. And there are a few things that you mentioned over there that I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, me too. Like, like paying the babysitter legally without her even picking this up in the income. This is like huge. And there's a lot. There's besides this, there's like so many, and all these legal structures that like you can create to save all this money. So there is a lot, yes. I mean, it's hard to cover this in 30-minute presentation.
But I like the way you laid everything out. So it's a lot, but it's also very concise and it's step by step. So how long will it take? Let's say, somebody, wants to consult with you. They have an accountant, and like realistically, I've learned a lot as a consultant by working with my clients, whether it's in the medical industry or with people like yourself. So as a consultant, I'm learning a lot from my clients as far as what I can and cannot do in my business and in my personal life. So I'm looking at this information. I'm like, okay, what will it take now? And let's say I do make the call and we schedule a consultation overview, right? I'm assuming you guys are doing it through, a phone call or Zoom, right? I don't have to show up to your office.
We're gonna do it through Zoom. Yes,
okay, so I don't have to show up to your office. I don't need to be in Brooklyn where you are to get this done. So we can do everything remotely.
Yes, yeah, and in fact, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, in any state, if you're in LA, if you're in Florida, it doesn't matter where you are. And we're fully equipped, we're fully prepared. In fact, like this past 3 months, we've been working remotely and was very successful. So we're gonna set up, just like that, we're gonna set up a Zoom meeting with the video phone, I know with the video call. So like I know a lot of people, and like especially when you just meet someone, I mean I personally love that personal touch. So I can speak to someone, seeing them, you know, like seeing the face reflections, everything. So this is how we're gonna schedule, and there's a number of questions. There's a list of questions that we're gonna go over, and then based on the questions, based on the answers you're gonna give me, I'm gonna already see if I'll be able to help and design that plan. And then if it's will be okay with you, then we're gonna set up the phone call where you're gonna send me all the documents, and then we're gonna start gathering everything. So it's a process. The process takes like up to like 7 weeks, because like for us to get the documents, and then my assistant will work with the documents. And here's where the customization comes on, and this is the difference because between the tax preparation and tax planning. When you do tax preparation, you just bring your W-2, you bring your bank statements. Sometimes you don't even bring the bank statement. Some of the clients, they just do the calculations themselves. They don't want to even, you know, bring the bank statements to me. And I always say, listen, and here's the, I'll tell you that even yesterday I was doing the tax return for one of my clients. So she did all the calculations herself. In fact, she did an amazing job. So she had someone that did the Excel spreadsheet, you know, like all fancy and everything. And I'm like going through doing her tax return, and then I see there is no telephone expenses, there is no internet expenses, and then she charges credit card to Square, so I see the 1099 from Square, 1099K, and there is no Square fee. So like these are just small things that I see right away. So like, and she is a coach. I was like, 1 second, how do you coach someone without paying for the telephone? You need the internet. And then you accepting the credit cards. The credit cards, they charge a lot of fees. It's like 3 to 4%. So just right there on the spot, it was like over $10,000 deduction. That without even going into her bank statements. So, and this is just, that's just, you know, just a simple example that I'm going. But then believe me, if I'm going to go into her bank statements, I'm going to find so much more in there.
Yeah, I
So
could
this
imagine.
is what we actually, yeah, so this is actually what we're doing. So like we request all the information. I will request personal information, not only business, because a lot of the business owners, they're so busy, you know, like they don't have time to keep a track of, and it even happens, I'm pretty sure it happened to you, it happens to me, you know, you pay for something, you pick up the card and you know, you don't notice, you may be giving, instead of a business card, you're charging your personal card. So like there's a small details like that, but if you calculate all of this, it adds up, and believe me, it adds up a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot. It takes time. So like my assistant, she usually goes into all the calculations. So like I train them like what to look for. So like I already know what to look for without even, you know, like looking at the statements.
Gotcha. That's very, very useful information. Absolutely. And I just wish for more people to take advantage of that, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the bottom line. When you have more money of your own money left in your pocket, there's just so much you can do. You know, you get to hire more people, you get to reinvest into your business, you get to take care of your family better. It gives you so many options to save, to diversify, to make better investment decisions rather than making decisions on a few shekels that you have left, you know, so it gives you definitely more options. Okay.
And this is great what you mentioned, because this is exactly what they were teaching us. And these are the wealthy strategies, because at the end of the day, we are so busy running and making more. But if you take into the 80-20 rule, okay, the 80% psychology and like, you know, like, and the 20% action, you know, and the 20% action give you 80% of the results. Because like you mentioned, it's all about the bottom line. So like what, I mean, look at this way. Would you rather make $2 million and then put 200,000 in your pocket? All right. Or make maybe like 400,000 and put 300,000 in your pocket. So, you know, like that there's like, imagine like how much you have to put time and effort making 2 million but then to put 200,000 in your pocket. And this is exactly what I see with the business owners, and like especially right now with all this disaster situation going on. Because like that was it, like they were like all running, making more and more and more, having all these expenses, but then the bottom line is so little. But
Absolutely.
now it's all about, it's all about like restructuring. I mean, maybe you don't need to make 2 million today. Maybe you'll be okay with 400. But then out of the 400, if you're going to put 300 into your pocket, that's a completely different game. That's a game changer.
Of course. And I'll mention one last thing before we go into the information on marketing and growth. Based on what you just mentioned, 2-3 days ago, I was having a conversation, like a sort of a friendly debate, how and why Warren Buffett pulled out of the airline industry. And he was diversified among 4 separate companies, American Airlines, Delta, and a couple of more. And the guy was saying that, he's now the loser. Why? Because he would have made more money in a week after he pulled out, because all the other great investors have remained. Now, the other investors, they are multimillionaires. They weren't billionaires. And they all laughed at Warren Buffett. Now, Warren Buffett's logic for pulling out of the industry was a couple of reasons. Number one is that he said, listen, right now, the airline industry is operating on a less than 10% compared to prior to March 15th. So whatever you're looking at right now, it's hyperinflated by over 90% because they went from 2.3 million flights per day to less than 200,000 per day. The rest of the section of the financial evaluation is based on what the government bailout was. That's reason number one. Second one, the airline industry, that's something I didn't even know. They operate on 3.26, 3.25% margin, profitability. From that, they have to pay everything else, right? Yeah. So it's like, why would I keep all my money there, hoping and praying, keeping my fingers crossed that they're going to pick up their business to where they were up to February of this year, right? So it's very logical and practical move when everybody else thinks he's the loser. Why? Because, if he would have left his money there, it did go up. What's going to happen in the next 90 to 120 days, nobody knows.
Exactly.
But even if it stays based on those small margins by themselves, it's already too risky. So it is, at the end of the day, the bottom line. You could be making so much money, but if there's really nothing left for you, then you have to rethink as far as how you're doing business.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. And I love talking about stuff like that too. As you can see. Okay, let me go into my screen here, and let me just go. I'm going to go through this information fairly quickly. I go to PowerPoint. Okay. So, guys, if you don't know who I am, or if you jumped on this video a little later, my name is Rafael Mavi. Elle and I, we actually met, I think, close to 4 years ago. We've been, working and consulting on and off for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. Been working directly on everyday basis for the past year. And what I have done is, for you guys, I've put together a digital marketing checklist, so to speak, okay, for you guys to understand what you need to do as a local business owner. And I'm going to get into the details, obviously. Okay, so how to create an online presence using proven digital marketing checklist without the frustration, without the headache, and without spending thousands of dollars on marketing. Now, obviously, there is money that needs to be spent on this. But what I'm talking about is without spending the money on marketing, without understanding how your money is working for you. Okay, so my goal, can you see the screen, Ella?
Yeah, I can see it very well. Yeah.
So let me go maximize this. All right. So my goal here is to educate you, to empower you, because when you have the information, you are already empowered. And there's a reason why I have these goals. I'm going to go into this as well. So you have the control over all of your marketing. At the very first meeting, some of my other clients are going to see this. They're going to laugh and they're going to smile, because that's exactly what I tell them the very first time I have the sales meeting with them. Because here's the thing, I haven't met a single prospect before they became a client where I met with them where they haven't worked with another marketing agency or consultant prior to meeting with me. So when I tell them this, I'm speaking directly to them, and I understand their pain, not because they're telling me their pain, but because I personally went through that as well. Okay. And one of the things I tell them all the way from the beginning, before we even have a working relationship, is that this. I'm like, listen, you can spend your money on whatever you want, but at the end of the day, if you have no control over the efforts that's being put forth towards your business or your personal brand, you need to reconsider who's doing the marketing for you. Here's the reason why I tell them. And that comes from a business owner who had over 200 employees, who hired marketing agencies in the past. So I've made the mistakes. So therefore, that gives me the platform to speak in this manner. Now, that also separates me from the rest of my competition, because most of the marketing agencies and consultants, they do not want to tell their clients this. Why? Because they don't want the client to have control, because they understand as long as the control is in a marketing agency's hands, they have their client, pardon my French, but by the balls. All right. The way I look at it, I don't need to be in that position. First of all, as an agency, as a consultant, I don't do any long-term contracts, none whatsoever. Because my motto is this: if I can't earn your business, that means I don't deserve your business. We give each other 30 days and we part ways professionally. All right. So that integrity comes first. Secondly, when you have control, when my client has full control, they don't need to feel scared or fearful of what's going to happen tomorrow if they tell me I can no longer work with them. Okay. So they have full control over the content. Yes, they don't need to understand the technical challenges, the technical how-tos, all the writing and the graphics and the branding. They don't need to know that, but they need to have control over it. Control is the name of the game, right? Like if you look at the biggest business entrepreneurs with hundreds of employees, they have 100% control, but they have less than 5% of their efforts going into management itself. Management and control are two different things. Okay. I can do a full training on this for a couple of hours on how to actually gain control of your business, but I'm not going to bore you with those details right now. My goal right now is to give you enough information so you can take this information and apply it yourself, provided that you have the discipline. Okay. Now, I do have two gifts for you. If you stay until the end of this video, I have one gift is actually I'm going to schedule a 30-minute evaluation consultation with you. I'm going to share with you a link where you can do that. It's a 30-minute nonstop. We don't break it up into two sections. It's a 30-minute over the phone or over a Zoom call evaluation consultation. Here's what's going to be covered in that 30-minute. We're going to go through the information that I want to share with you today. And I'm going to evaluate your business based on what you're going to share with me. The second gift I have for you is I'm going to give you the complete digital marketing checklist. So there are 12 things that are in this checklist. It's a PDF file. What I'm doing today with you right now, I'm going to cover with you about 5 basic things. Obviously, I'm going to give you a lot of golden nuggets in between there as well that are not part of the official 5. And I call them the secrets, right? Because here's why they're secrets. They're really not secrets. There's no such thing as secrets. But the reason why I call them secrets are because this is something you're not going to hear from any marketing consultant or an agency. They will not tell you this. Why? Because they want to do everything themselves as far as technicality goes. I don't mind having my client possess this information so they understand what's happening. Here's the reason why business owners will hire, an educated business owner will hire a marketing individual or a team to get it done for them. It comes down to time. If they don't want to spend the time on doing it themselves, because if they break down the cost average analysis, it's going to come down to, let's say, 35 hours a week, $27 an hour. They're going to be like, listen, if I apply my own knowledge to run a business, and I'm averaging $175 an hour as a business owner, why am I going to do a $27 an hour job? In that case, they will bring somebody on board, whether it's in-house or outsource it. Otherwise, they have full control and they have an understanding as far as what needs to happen, because when they have an understanding of it, it's easier for them to hold whoever they hire accountable to conduct all the marketing activities, right? So I'm going to cover with you 5 out of the 12, and the rest you could actually download it and stay till the end. I'm going to give you a link where you could download the free checklist and review it in full, save it. You could apply it yourself, give it to your team if you have a team in-house. But those are the things that I will provide for you. Okay, so what makes this information different? I actually jumped ahead of myself earlier. One of the things is that this will give you full control of your marketing roadmap. Let's just call it that, because it really is a roadmap. Before you do anything else, this is what needs to happen before you even decide to hire anybody. You need to fully understand this. Okay, so let me just give you a quick background on myself. My name is Rafael Mavi. I personally love this picture because not because of Damon John there, but because of the colorful background. This actually happened. I met Damon John 3 times. This was at a private dinner event hosted by T-Mobile, and they hosted the Inc. 500 list companies there, and I had the chance and privilege to attend it as well. Genius guy, you probably all know him from Shark Tank. I know him from the FUBU days because when I was 16 years old, I got a job at a VIM jeans company. I don't know if you guys remember this. They had about 10 locations all over New York City. And I worked in VIM, and that's when I had my first experience with the FUBU clothing wear. And a few years later, when I went to college, I found out who the owner was. So that's how I knew about Damon John, that he was originally from Queens as well. And that's where I'm from once we immigrated here. So, and I have a lot of respect for him and how he does business, not what he does, but how he performs this business. So my background is 11 years in direct sales after I left corporate America. I was a national trainer and a public speaker. I still do public speaking engagements. Well, as soon as we reopen, right, from the COVID pandemic. But in my direct sales experience, I built sales teams of over 7,000 individuals across 5 countries. I have built 2 companies with combining with 200 plus employees. One of them actually I was a consultant for, but the owners, let's just call them, they were just signing the checks. They held everybody accountable. They had control, but they weren't there to really hire, fire, train employees. So between 5 departments and 115 employees, that's where I sort of had my first consultation gig. After that, I started my own company with 2 other partners with about 75, 77 full-time employees. And that's where I really actually started learning the art of marketing with a small business, because before it was a little different. When it comes to small business, things need to be a little bit different. So today I'm a founder and CEO of a company called Unplugged Influence. Primarily we specialize in culture development, which is an umbrella for hiring, firing, onboarding, on the job training, personality profiles, and things like that. But we also couple that with branding, because one of the biggest challenges that business owners have, they're either great at marketing, but they suck with retention, meaning they keep losing employees. They can't find quote unquote good employees or the right team members, or they have a great culture and they know how to attract the right individuals, but they're not getting enough business interaction. So their online presence is not speaking in the same language in which they operate in-house. So my goal is to help businesses, whether they have 10 employees, 100 employees, doesn't matter, to merge the brand that's speaking into the marketplace and merge the culture that they have in-house. Okay. The average size of the company I work with has about 70 to 100 employees. I'm sorry, 50 to 80 employees. That's the average size of the companies that I work with. And I also recently launched my own podcast. It's been a full year and a couple of months. I've interviewed some really, really interesting individuals on my podcast. Obviously, there are a lot of solo episodes there as well, and you could look it up. It's called You Influence Podcast, and it's on Stitcher, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts. so on and so forth. So just like the rest of you guys, I did do a bunch of things right, but I also did a whole bunch of things wrong. And that is the truth. More so that I've done more things wrong than I did right. And I'm not afraid to admit them, because that's where I would say most of my lessons came from, by doing things wrong. All right. And if you're of the mindset where you have to get everything right in order to learn the most, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you're wrong. Okay. Most of our life's lessons come from our errors in judgment. So after doing this for 16 years, here's what I've learned. And this is very, very important for you to understand this. Please write this down if you have the ability to write things down right now. Control is the name of the game. I know I mentioned this before, but I'm going to beat this, to the ground. Control is the name of the game. Innovation is no longer a choice. When you live in the world of full transparency of digital marketing, with everything being on the phone, everything being captured on the phone, people doing selfies and putting out value and content, and also from a consumer standpoint, where you have so much feedback going on, where people are just going online and rapidly leaving you a review, including on the platforms where you wish you did not exist, right? AKA Yelp, excuse me. But you need to know how to innovate. It is no longer an option. It is a necessity. And that needs to happen on daily basis, in your mind, on paper, and then transcend it to digital space. Understanding consumer behavior is a non-negotiable, because if you don't know how an average consumer, your ideal consumer, is behaving, then you're at a loss. It will take you a lot more time and money, not or money, and money. Time is money, so it's going to cost you money and more money to understand how consumer behaves. You need to understand where your customers are, who has their attention right now. So understanding consumer behavior is a non-negotiable. If I would recommend to you this: if you have not read any books or taken some type of a program, like a class or workshop on personality profiles and consumer behavior, I highly urge you to do that, especially in a time like this where it's a little bit slower for most businesses, but take advantage of that. All right. Micromanaging slows you down. I don't care what you say. You could have you could have a very detail oriented personality, but as leaders, as soon as we start going into the micromanagement of our team, it slows down the production, because business, you started it, and the business needs your attention to move it forward. So you have to understand how to move the needle forward based on the strengths and weaknesses of the entire team, including yourself. If you are a detail-oriented person, which is a strength, it does not help you to move the business forward, because business requires leadership. Detail orientation could always be outsourced. Virtually never can you ever outsource leadership, because I don't care who you bring into your organization, how much you're going to pay them, that person will never experience to their DNA what it's like to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and work 15 to 20 hours a day and put everything into your business, because that is your baby. You can have dedicated, committed, loyal team members, but at the end of the day, you cannot expect them to treat your business as their business, no matter, even if you gave them a little bit of equity. That's an enticement, which is great. And I think, it's a great structure, but at the end of the day, you're the leader. So you need to lead your business like a leader, not like a micromanager. And it leads right into this. Leadership is everything. It doesn't matter. You show me a family that's succeeding. You show me a daycare center that's succeeding, a school, a military segment, a business that's succeeding, or a community that's succeeding, and I'll show you a great leader over there. Everything falls on leadership. If you have staff that's performing phenomenal, you need to take credit for it as a leader, not for the performance, because performance is theirs. But that means you did something right to attract that team. If you have staff that's complaining, if you have staff that's no longer happy with you and they want to go elsewhere, that is your fault. It's always my fault. Whether it's good or bad, it's my fault. If I'm going through, 10, 15% attrition turnover rate with my staff annually, then it's my fault, right? Everything falls back on leadership. Okay, so yeah, like I said to you before, I discovered all this stuff that I'm going to share with you right now the hard way, but you get the cheat sheet and you get it the easy way. So let me just share with you a couple of things as far as what happened the hard way, right? Spending marketing money without understanding it. It's okay to spend marketing money, but you need to understand what your team is doing for you. Whether it's in-house, outsourced, doesn't matter. Delegating the right things to the wrong person. I've done it multiple times, all right? Now, as far as financially making choices that earned me my lessons, it cost me literally over $200,000 in lost income and also invested money. Also 19-hour workdays on average. Sometimes it was 22 hours. Went home really quick, took an hour nap, came back into the office, lost about 25 pounds. And I literally, if you know me in person, if you will ever meet me in person, there's not much to lose. 25 pounds, 2 pneumonias, 2 ulcers in a matter of 6 months, landed me in a hospital, 3 times unconscious. And it's all because of my decisions, poor decisions and frustrations. At the same token, those are my medals of honor, so to speak, because without that experience, I would not be able to share what I've learned with you right now on this video, because that gave me the platform to learn more, especially from my mistakes. All right, I'm not going to spend time on this. Just a couple of clients that I've worked with, whether it's consulting, whether it's we did media, marketing for them or training for their staff. Some of them are in New York, Miami, mostly in New York. Okay, now if you want to learn more information about this, obviously you could go to any of these 3 websites. Unpluggedinfluence.com, that's the parent company. Since we launched the digital marketing department of our consultation, I had to secure a separate site for it and build it out, and it's called UI Digital Marketing. Over here, you're going to find a couple of videos and obviously more testimonials. And my personal site is rafaelmavi.com. Okay, so here's what's required from you in order to apply what I'm going to share with you. Number 1, application. Okay, meaning you can't just take this information and say, oh, that's cool, that's good, write it down, go back to the office or go back wherever you work from and not apply it. So you need to apply this, whether it's by yourself, with your team, it doesn't matter. You need to apply this. You need to be consistent. It's not the big stuff that you're going to do every once in a while that's going to, land you the reward. It's actually the little things, but on daily basis, that's going to help you achieve mass results in 30 to 90 days. Scale, meaning take the information that I'm going to give you today, and you have to figure out, unless you get on a call with me for 30 minutes and I'm going to help you with this process, but we need to figure out how you can scale with the information I'm going to give you. And the information is very basic. Don't think I'm going to give you some, crazy secrets to the some sort of the Federal Reserve vault. It's very simple. It's basic, but most of the stuff is not being shared from marketing agencies. You do need to have a budget in mind. Without a budget, you won't be able to pull this off. Even whether it's you doing this by yourself or you're going to hire somebody in-house or you're going to outsource this, it doesn't matter. You will need to have some sort of a budget to work with. Now, I don't like the word budget because, let's put it this way, I don't like to be in confinement. I don't like to be in a box. But for financial purposes, you need to create a budget to do this, right? And I know Ella can go on and on and on about the topic of budget. And also delegate. Delegate is part of number 3. It is scalability. If you cannot delegate that work, you will eventually find yourself doing a $25 an hour job when really the marketplace is willing to pay you $200 an hour by being a business owner. And the last thing you want to do is slip into the lower paying task. So if you need to learn how to delegate, even if it's a part of what I'm going to share with you, even if you can just give it to, a business partner or some of your staff, or if you have kids that know digital marketing, they could do the basics. Don't, by the way, FYI, pet peeve, do not assign marketing to your family members just because they have a Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn profiles themselves. It does not make them marketing experts. It makes them knowledgeable on how to use personal profiles, but it doesn't make them marketing specialists. However, you could delegate basic things on how to properly set up a profile, how to get your Google listing verified, and things like that. But not when it comes to creativity. Okay, so let's go over the basics before we jump into the nuts and bolts here. It is important to understand why you're on social media and all other digital platforms, because the purpose of all digital marketing activity essentially is to increase your business, to improve your business, no matter what the economy is. That really is the purpose of it. Now, I can break this down into section and share with you, actually I will, share with you my approach as like till this day, I haven't gained, I'm sorry, only one. 3 months ago, I landed a new client that came from Facebook. Otherwise, between end of 2016 and 2020, other than that one client, I haven't gotten a single client from social media activity. And I'm very active. Here's why. Because I always treat my social media as a digital portfolio. Because when I decide to run a paid ad, or when my Google listing starts to pick up traffic, I understand, going back to human behavior. Here's the little golden nugget you need to understand. This is not part of the slides. I'm going to share this with you. Today's average consumer, I don't care if they're shopping for electronics, you're looking for a plumber, you're looking for an electrician, or you're looking for an accountant, doesn't matter. What the average consumer today does is they look for social proof. What does that mean? They're looking for two things. Number one, they're looking for reviews, and they're also looking at how busy or what type of content you have on your social media profiles. So going back, here's how I treated my social media, my personal brand and business. I treat my platforms as digital portfolios. So I produce a lot of content, whether it's motivational, inspirational, how-tos, or just plain videos, nothing fancy. And when my prospect sees an advertising or receives a phone call from me or gets a referral from a friend of theirs who is my client, right? What they do is they go online and they look it up. What I want them to see is what I have produced. That is the way I treat my social media. I'm not attached to the outcome by expecting a result just because I put out, 1, 2, or even 20 pieces of content. I'll tell you why. The reason why I'm not expecting an immediate outcome from my social media activities because I know I'm competing with everybody else. And in order for me to expect something right away, I need to be running ads all the time. So instead, I'm gradually and consistently participating on whatever platform where the consumer is, right? Because the name of the game is be where your consumer is at. So wherever the eyeballs are at, that's where you need to be. So that should be your number one goal when it comes to all of your digital activity. So let's just go through a couple of bullet points. Build a brand. It's a recognizable entity that goes above and beyond your logo. Most people think it's your logo by itself. It's the color of your, pamphlets. It's the color of your business card. It's the color of your website. Those are small components that make up the visual aspect of your brand. But the actual brand is what you represent. It's your reputation. It's what your customer says about you when you're not around. Okay. Also, what's another reason to be on digital? To build trust. The fastest way to build trust is by getting reviews. Granted, you need to provide a great service, but to get reviews. Hey, Ella, my video is still not coming up.
What do you mean? I see your screen.
Okay.
I can see your screen.
But I can't share the video. Like, meaning like you don't see me? Do you see me?
I don't see you now.
Okay. Yeah, it's something you need to do on your end because I cannot, doesn't activate.
All right, let's see.
So you do that and I'll continue with the PowerPoints. So build loyalty, innovation, and empathy leads to customer loyalty, but also build validation. So your content is validation for what you scream into the marketplace. That's what I was talking to you about before. Produce the content that will validate what you're advocating for when your prospects do find you, whether it's through referral, whether it's through an advertising, or whether it's through by searching simply on Google or wherever they're searching. Okay. So let's go through these quote unquote secrets. You need to know your brand. Now, what does that mean? Like the average person, when they hear this, I did a Instagram live yesterday and I touched on this as well. Most businesses, they have a great business, they have a great product or service, but they really don't know what their brand is. So your brand, you need to make a decision what your brand must represent. Okay, so make sure it is as clear as day. Like a consumer, the average prospect needs to understand what you're all about. And if the consumer isn't clear about your brand, they will most likely, won't do business with you. You need to have a clear mission, vision, and core values. I know Ella Rifkin is a great example of that. If you go to either her website, ellarifkin.com or erpsgroup.com, you will see that clear as day, what they represent, who they are, who they work with, right? And the story behind it. So you need to know your brand. You need to make a decision as far as what you represent and why you do what you do, and share that on all of your digital platforms, including your own website, including your profiles on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you are. Okay. The second part is, this is something a lot of businesses overlook. They know they need to be found on Google. And most businesses that we speak to initially, we actually see that their Google listing is not verified. And that's a big deal. So you need to make sure your Google listing is a verified account. It is a must simply because it's the #1 website in the world. You definitely want to have a presence on there. When you're creating content for any of your social media profiles, you need to make sure that you're also populating this on your GMB, Google My Business listing. I'll give you a quick tip that is not on a slide. You don't need to populate there every day. I would recommend 3, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. I'm sorry, 3, on average 3, maximum 4 times a week. You don't have to do it 5, 6, 7 times because it really doesn't matter. The way Google My Business is set up is that they flush your content that's older than 7 days old. So you don't want to let a week go by with nothing published there. But whether you publish 5 times a week or 3 times a week, it's not going to change anything, because all they want to see is activity on a weekly basis. And the easiest, like this is a short tip that I'll give you. The easiest way to do that is just take the same exact content from your Facebook and publish it on Google My Business listing. Okay. There are no hashtags, so you don't need to optimize your post. You do, however, need to optimize your listing. You need to make sure that all the right things are mentioned in the description. All the right things are mentioned in the tags. They give you space for that, so you want to optimize that. So the third secret is getting reviews. Now, I cannot even begin to tell you how many business owners that I talk to. And obviously, before I speak with them, I do my research. I go online and see, how long the business has been around, roughly how many locations they have, if it's a multi-office location. And I see so many businesses that have been in business for years. I'm talking about like 20, 25, 30 years. and they have less than 20 reviews. They have less than 10 reviews online. Guess what? I know from common sense that you cannot stay in business, especially when you're a service-oriented industry like medical, financial, legal, plumbing, electrical, a dance studio, which is a very low profit margin business. You know, you cannot operate that type of business for that many years without providing good service. So the question remains, why isn't that displayed online? Why are we not seeing reviews? Why is the effort not being made to collect reviews? Yes, there is a science on how to collect these reviews. There are certain scripts depending on what industry you're in, depending who is involved in collecting reviews, whether it's front desk, whether it's a manager, whether it's a coordinator, whether it's a service provider, right? All depends on your industry and business, but the effort has to be there, not once in a while, but multiple times a day, every single day. If you're a business servicing 30 to 50 clients per day, like a lot of my clients are medical industry, so we're looking at about 20 to 60 patients per day. And if the front desk is not asking at least 80% of all of those patients for a review, that front desk needs to be properly trained. These things, it's a non-negotiable. Reviews have to be asked for. Okay. Yep. Now, besides Google, also ask them to share their review and feedback on Facebook as well. If you are a local business that is very big, or at least your competition is there on Yelp, you need to be there. So here's another tip I'll give you that is not on the slides. Most businesses that I am aware of, that they hate Yelp. And there's a good reason to hate them. I hate them too. And I'm very vocal about it. And guess what? It's not just a matter of my opinion. Just look at Yelp's work culture. The turnover and attrition rate with their employees is ridiculous. If you're a local business and you haven't been solicited by Yelp, just wait for it. Once the solicitation starts, at least once a month, you're going to get a phone call, and there will be no 2 months that will be alike. It's always a new account manager. Even if you start working with somebody past 90 days, that person is no longer there. When you have a toxic culture, and when the staff knows damn well that they're actually fooling businesses and their clients to get more revenue, they no longer choose to stay with Yelp, so they leave. But let's put that to the side. I said my piece. That was my rant about Yelp. When you are on Yelp, it's their platform. Guess what? Your clients are going to end up there with or without you. And if you do not control your narrative, somebody will find a way to control it for you. And more than likely, that narrative is not going to be good. I hope you guys understood that part. If you don't take control of your own narrative, somebody else will, and that narrative is not going to be to your liking. The platform is there. Your customers are not going anywhere. You got to love your customers. So how do you take control of that narrative? You need to communicate with your clients, with your patients, whatever business that you're in, and ask them and drive that traffic and attention to your registered Yelp account, which is free. I'm not saying you got to spend money with Yelp. There is a way to do this. There are loopholes to do this without having to pay Yelp for their advertising, which is a bunch of nonsense. I've been through this myself. I've advertised with them. I've lost money with them. I've went through a lot of battles with them. I fought for my clients with them as well, where they over 70 plus reviews, realistic reviews from actual customers, were shaded out and not displayed. Okay, actual reviews, and Yelp chose not to display them because they wanted to suck the money out of my client by spending money with them. Supposedly they're going to advertise. So I've been back and forth with them. So I'm telling you, you can beat them at their own game by taking control of the narrative, and you need to be in full control on daily basis and drive the reviews from your customers to Yelp as well, to Google, and to Facebook. You need to be omnipresent. It is not 1995 anymore. It is not 2003 anymore. It is not 2005 anymore, where businesses used to choose one avenue of advertising or one avenue of platform. They would choose a great magazine that had the most eyeballs and they would just stick to it. Or they would choose their favorite radio station and they would dump thousands of dollars every single month to get more traffic. Yes, that used to work. I know, but it doesn't anymore. You know why? It goes back to one of the first things that I shared with you, consumer behavior. Today, the average consumer has a worse attention span than your goldfish in your tank. Okay? The attention is being pulled in 1,000 different directions. Besides having obligations and commitments with family and kids and being in the middle of a pandemic right now at the time of this webinar, but our attention is on the social media. We're scrolling, we're commenting, we're getting back to our clients, we're responding to our friends, we're getting back to our employees, we're putting out fires with our clients, we're also being the customer support. Our attention is being pulled apart in so many directions. What makes you think your prospect is laser focused? They're not. So therefore, you need to have the omnipresence. You need to be everywhere. Okay, secret number 4, compelling website. I didn't want to include the website part as part of the 5, but lately this has been coming up a lot and as questions where I get in my DMs, because I drive all questions and concerns and comments into my Instagram DMs, because that's where I'm spending a lot of time, either that or Facebook. So even questions that I'm driving from my podcast and my training, people are just reaching me through my Instagram DM. And a lot of questions come up about the website. You need to have a compelling website. What's a compelling website? A website that will actually promote your average visitor to stay there longer by consuming the content you are providing for them. And the website needs to be bi-directional. It cannot be like a radio type promotion, meaning it cannot be just one unidirectional where you're providing your information and they have no way to reach you other than a phone call. You need to have multiple ways for them to be able to contact you. Number 1, a contact form, contact us form. Second one is you have to give them access to get something from you for free in exchange for an email and name. That's where you're building your list to be able to communicate with your visitors, but at the same time, you're providing something of value to them before you're asking them to reach into their pockets and spend money with you. Okay? I put that in here because if tomorrow will be the end of social media, unlikely, but guess what? Nobody knows what the future holds. If tomorrow will be the end of social media popularity, you will still have your own website. Your website is in your control. Also, depending on your business, stuff happens even by accident. Don't think you've been targeted. But I know businesses that have their video content taken down by Facebook and YouTube simply because either the language wasn't proper, or at least they didn't think it was proper. Maybe your business is talking about things they don't want you talking about. Yes, it's a violation of free speech, blah, 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 blah. The fact of the matter remains that it could be censored. Now, the stuff that you have on your own website, you control that. You didn't create a free profile on Facebook. This is your website where you're paying for your hosting. So you can have any content you want on there. So as a tip, we recommend this to our clients as well, but we always have a backup plan. So let's say you do a bunch of videos. I know, Ella, you do this as well because we do this for you, where you have your videos and you upload them to YouTube. And then from YouTube, we embed the videos on the website, which is great, and it makes it easier to access. But let's say YouTube shut down your entire profile. You lost all those videos. It's not a big deal because we still have the videos. You still have the videos. All you need to do is upload those videos to another platform where you pay 10, 20 bucks a month for, but you have control over it, like a Vimeo and things like that, where you could host it with Amazon, pay them a few dollars. That's okay. And then you could have that on your website because your website is your website. Nobody's taking it down unless you stop paying for your hosting. Okay, that's the only way. And also make sure your website is fully optimized. Whoever is building the website for you, I'm not talking about on consistent basis, on monthly basis doing SEO. I'm talking about initially, make sure all of your fields are optimized based on your industry, your competitive keywords, and things like that. Fifth, social media. All right. So I mentioned this to you before. Find out where your audience is. You don't want to be putting forth the effort on platforms that doesn't have your audience. So for example, if you are a business that's selling to other businesses, you do not want to be on TikTok. You may not want to be on Snapchat, excuse me. Now, some people will disagree. They're going to be like, well, I know this expert and this influencer, they have $100 million a year company. And as a personal brand from the owner who has a Snapchat account, he still puts out content on Snapchat. Yes, because they're practicing the omnipresence in hopes that the 15-year-old that's consuming their content, if it's a business related or digital product content, they will go ahead and tell their parents about it. That's really the purpose. But if you're looking to directly speak to your consumer, you need to be very aware of where your potential customer is. Depending on your industry, depending on your business, you could be an accountant and you could specialize in a particular industry. So for example, if you're an accountant specializing in e-commerce, right? That means you're going to be targeting a platform that has the average age of a 22, 25-year-old, not 45 years old. Where is that platform? That platform is going to be Instagram. If you are a geriatrics doctor, right, or a GI doctor that's treating patients with stomach-related issues, chances are your average patient will be between the ages of 30 and 65. Chances are you may not want to put so much attention on Instagram, but you definitely want to put more attention on Facebook. So, whether you're a B2C or B2B business, like, business to consumer, like a doctor would be, or business to business, you could be an accountant and target business owners only. Why? Because you choose not to work with individuals. So that makes you a B2B service industry. So you need to choose your platforms very carefully. And this is one of those things where you don't need an expert to be telling you this, because I just shared with you and gave you criteria on how to do this yourself, because nobody knows your business better than you. All right. Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Google are the leading social platforms. As of the writing, which I've done this for you. Okay. So as of today. All right. So for more information, I promised you this. So now you're going to get this. I don't know, Ellie, if you activated the video, but I still cannot turn on my video.
I can activate it, I think, because like you in this the share screen, so it doesn't allow me to activate it.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it doesn't allow me.
No problem.
I see that it's not activated, but it doesn't allow me to do anything.
Got it. All right, no problem.
Oh, now I see you.
Okay, yeah, now I see myself too. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay. Speaking of, I spoke it into existence.
But doesn't matter, Wesley, we heard you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, the slides are here.
Stuff. All of this was amazing. I actually even took some notes for myself. Me and Rafael have been working together for almost a year already. And everything that he is saying, he's implementing this for my brand, for my social media website. And this is great stuff.
Thank you. So these are the links, guys, for you to go to. You could download the full checklist. There are 12 full things that you actually can implement on your own. You don't need anybody to do this for you. It's simple, okay? And the second link I promised to give you is you can book a 30-minute evaluation consultation with me. Just go to calendly.com/Rafael Mavi. It's a very simple process. Just, enter your information, select the time for availability. It will sync up between your time and my time. I'll get a notification, and I'm not going to promise you that I'm going to call you within the hour, but give me about 24 hours. So within a day of receiving that request, I will contact you, and we will set up we will confirm a 30-minute consultation. This is on the house. I will help you implement everything you're going to learn from the checklist, or everything you're going to receive from the checklist, and also learn more about your business and help you how to put this into play. I think that's it. Ella, thank you so much for having me on. We're getting this recorded, so we will activate it as a replay as well. So because we're getting this recorded, so I'm excited about that.
You're getting it recording on your end, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this is great stuff. Yes. Thank you so much. This was great. This was very helpful.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me.